here today on D-Vlog talking to Brady Deeprose from Conjurer. Their new album Unself is out on the 24th of October through Nuclear Blast. Brady, thanks for joining me today, mate.
No worries. Nice to be here. Thank you for taking the time to chat about our new album.
Yeah, and it's an amazing record, mate. I'm really enjoying it. I'll start with the title, Unself. Is that meant to be a contradiction? Because it's a very introspective sounding record. Is that?
So there's like Danny came to us with the title for the record while we were still kind of in the early days of writing, but they had this kind of like solid idea for what it would be about. So unself, it has kind of three different meanings. The first one being to deprive of or detach from the self. The
Mhm.
second being the idea of a lack of self. And then the third one being to remove selfhood or selfishness from oneself. And like really where the record hits is that these ideas of growing up and feeling like you don't fit in, or feeling like, for Danny specifically, getting their autism diagnosis,
Mm,
like so many of the looking back on their life, so many things didn't quite fit or didn't quite click, or they felt out of place or felt, didn't really understand why things didn't feel good. So that kind of like lack of having that cohesive sense of self and discovering that as you hit 30 is a wild experience. So
mm.
there's been a lot of that, but then also every Conjurer record before this has been really insular and kind of really guarded. The image I always get in my head when I talk about this is like this, like it is like you're we set up this barrier between ourselves and the listener, and that would be like archaic language and shrouding whatever the song was about in so many layers of metaphor that I don't think for the most part it's really obvious what most of our songs have been about. And then Unself has been like outward facing and kind of looking at different issues kind of within ourselves, within society, and really kind of like reaching out to connect with people about whatever it is we're talking about. So to kind of be like, yeah, these are personal songs, but it's not about us. It is about showing others that, other people do feel like this. Like these aren't all of these awful things that you're seeing around in the world, like all of these things that you feel bad about yourself for, all of these things that have been negative experiences, you are not alone in feeling
Mm.
that. Like they're actually very not normal, but like these are things that a lot of people can either relate to or at least empathize with. So yeah, the record, while being deeply personal, is more about the reaching out and the wanting to establish connection with people.
Absolutely, and it's one I can totally associate with because, like Danny, I myself got diagnosed with autism and ADHD about a year ago, well,
Mhm.
maybe a bit longer. So I can totally appreciate that and the detachment thing because disassociation goes along with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I've noticed also that yeah, as you said, there's less metaphor. It's very kind of direct lyrically. This album and musically too, it's very direct. I noticed like like your lead single, "Hang Them in Your Head," which by the way, I love that title. We'll get onto that. Um, it was just a very punchy sort of like really direct track, and there's not actually a second wasted on this record. It's pacey, you know. Um,
Yeah. Mm.
was that the
No,
intention with the lyrical flow as well, to kind of musically push it as well?
yeah, for sure. We wanted to keep the record to like one LP length, so 45 minutes give or take. So it was like a real exercise in like trimming the fat everywhere we could. Like the a lot of these songs started out much longer, like your typical 7 minute length Conjurer song, and we were like, okay, what is what is necessary to achieve what this song is doing? And anything that wasn't went, and anything that we sat with the songs as we always do for a couple of years and went over them and really would it was all about trying to cut back. And I think after Pathos feeling so kind of overwhelming and claustrophobic, which partly because of where we were at as songwriters, but also like the environment in which it was written and recorded through COVID, while we were closed off from each other, and we didn't even get to play those songs in a room. So to now be in a position like I think Unself is a bit of a reaction to that, and that we wanted to everything to feel a bit more organic and have some more space, and to really open up the songs kind of sonically as well. So I think
Mm,
there's a lot more open space on the record. There is a lot more of an emphasis on feel as well. So we were determined to get in a room and play these songs and to make sure that they felt good as well as just sounded good. Which I've always been a bit of a hater on the more esoteric side of bands recording albums. And when you hear interviews with producers where they're like, yeah, we wanted to get the energy in the room and all of that stuff, and I've always been like,
mm,
yeah, shut up, record your songs. But
hmm,
getting the feel of like these songs feeling good, and that, I guess, energy really did affect the whole process of the album. Like it was so much of a nicer recording process, and we gave ourselves a full month to do it. So it wasn't rushed. We had the time to experiment. We had the time to just like give everything its proper time. And yeah, I think all of that really translates into the final
mm.
album.
That segues really well into one thing that I think a man who's coming into, well, he came into his own a while ago, but he's really doing some amazing work right now. Joe Clayton, who produced a record, and I know he's a proponent of the sort of Albini style and it capturing space and all of those things you've just talked about is right in his wheelhouse. He's done an amazing job on this record. The vocals, especially, sound the best your vocals have sounded. They sound so crisp and fantastic. Yeah, how much did Joe have to do with that? Obviously, he's got his techniques.
I think what I've always loved Joe, and I felt like Joe's recordings with Pine have always sounded the best because one, it's his band, so he gets it. Like he
Mm,
it just, knows exactly what it needs to sound like in his head. But two, doesn't doesn't just like go in and book a week in the studio and record them. Will like do them over time and can just really spend as long as he needs to kind of perfect it. And so I feel like Joe ends up Joe's like the ultimate utility producer. So someone that like all the time he'll be like, yeah, someone came to us and they want to do a whole album in 4 days. So we're like, fuck it, we'll make it work. But we were like, well, what is Joe capable of if we give him a month and like
mm,
then plenty of time to mix it, and like let's actually set up a scenario in which we can get the best creatively out of what we're doing, but then Joe can also do his best work. And for us, it was amazing. Like, I don't think Joe isn't super hands-on in terms of getting in there and being like, all right, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna, you know, change this around, but he's so good at creating an atmosphere in which everyone feels comfortable and everyone feels like they can get whatever they need to do done. And really, because we spent a lot of time with Joe, I guess over the last 10 years, like Pine were the first band we toured with in Europe, and we've done the Kirsty's Metal Hands with Joe. We did the covers split with Joe. Like, we've recorded with him a bunch. He knows us. We know him. There was no like getting to know you period. It was just like
Mm,
straight in. So a lot of the points of discussion weren't even that because he just kind of knew
just got
what
it.
we wanted. And yeah, and just got it. And yeah, it felt like we were all just like working together on finding what this record was, as opposed to anyone trying to put their stamp on it. Like, I feel like it sounds like a Joe Clayton record and it sounds like a Conjurer record, and I'm like so happy that we found that balance.
Yeah,
Um,
no, yeah, it
it,
definitely comes
it
across.
it's the first thing that we've done that I'm like just happy with. I have no notes, especially on a production front. Like, I everything I wanted it to be, he's nailed.
Absolutely. Now, I remember going back to when I first interviewed you, when I was doing Food Night and all that, and you
In
said
Lee,
to me, I remember in Leeds, yeah, I remember you said to me that you started Conjurer with the idea of wanting to be like Gajira. Now, you've gigged with Gajira now. Was that like a full circle sort of thing? And has that influenced you as songwriters at all? Because I noticed like on this record, there's some big swipes, like Gajira size swipes. I'm not saying you sound like Gajira. I'm just saying it's got that kind of massive sound. Has that been an influence at all?
I would say no, it's not been an influence. If anything, I feel like we're slowly moving away from a lot of the bands that influenced us early days, like your Gojira, your Opeth, your Black Dahlia Murder. I know what you like. I know what you mean though, especially as Gojira have kind of become a bit more open and expansive with
Hmm.
their sound. As they like the stuff that I really love from them is the that's that three album run from Master Sirius, Way of All Flesh, and Love on Sauvage. Like, that whole era is really where Gojira like did it for me. But like you say, like, getting to play with them was absolutely insane. Like, one of the
Hmm.
most very specifically, a few months beforehand, saw them play at an arena in the UK and was like, we will never get the chance to support this band now. We're
Hmm.
just in a completely different realm. Like, that's fine though. Like, I'm so happy for Employed to Serve, I think, who I was watching at the time, open for them. I was like, you're exactly where you're meant to be. This is sick. My friends are killing it.
Hmm.
There was a little bit of me that was like, all right, I need to make peace with the fact that that will never be me because of the direction Conjurer's going. And then to actually still get to go and do it was, yeah, it was really validating to be given that opportunity purely based on the music that we were making and the fact that it was like, we don't have a big manager that can like pull those strings for us. We haven't like crafted our sound in a particular direction to try and play bigger venues. All we're focused on is making music that we love, and we feel so privileged to have been able to do that and to get to, you know, play a show with someone that was instrumental in you
Yeah.
music that you make. Like, yeah, it was just the absolute best. And yet they were so kind and welcoming, and like their whole crew, they treated us so well. Like, it was really was a dream.
Well, I mean, this is something though, because with Conjurer and supports, I mean, you literally, I mean, we've covered this before, but you can literally support everyone. I think in a 12-month period, I saw you support Carcass, and then I heard about you supporting Clipping, and Arctangent, you've got Damnation coming up. You really are like sort of fluid. You can fit on most bills. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because we never nailed our um flags to one particular mast in terms of like genre.
Mm,
Like, on any record, you could play one song and be like, "Oh, they're a doom band," or "Oh, they're a black metal band," or yada yada yada. It's all heavy shouting music, and that's
mm,
for the most part the gigs we play. But it's never been of interest to us to stay in our lane, or
yeah.
like even lane. And I think that is it's a double-edged sword, or as I would call it, a sword. Um, in that we get to play in all these different diverse lineups and pop up anywhere, but we never really quite fit in. Like we're always a
Mm,
bit too metal for the proggy stuff, or a bit too weird for the straight up metal
mm,
festivals, or a bit too heavy for the mainstream festivals. Like it's always a compromise. So
mm.
everything outside of headline shows is uncomfortable, and it's something that I never really thought about until recently, in that like we don't have that, like if you're a thrash band and you get to go and support, or if you're a straight up death metal band and you go on that Carcass support tour and you're like, great, this is it, we are a death metal band supporting the death metal band, and we're playing in front of a crowd of people that love death metal. Like we very rarely have the opportunity to have that experience.
Mm.
Everything is a compromise, and it's always a bit of a fight, and it's always a bit of a feeling like the odd one's out. So yeah, it's the rough with the smooth.
Mm.
Ultimately, we would be so bored if we ever tried to just do one thing. So I think it's just a product of the music that we want to make, is having to live in that level of discomfort a little, you know?
Well, I was thinking like, because you've built that foundation for yourself that you could pretty much do what you want. You could announce tomorrow that you want to do an ambient record, and I'd be like, yeah, yeah. That I mean, it wouldn't be jarring to me. You could say you're going to do a Sonor sort of drone record. I'd be like, yeah, they can do that. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have strict rules that you have to stick to, which
Yeah, I
I
think
think is
that's
freeing.
definitely it's freeing, and it's by design, and it is like coming from Danny and I playing in metalcore bands, and there being so many rules about how you look and how you dress and the kind of music you make and yada yada yada, and it being about so much more than just the music, and then finding the doom and stoner and sludge scene, and it being like just like that's so freeing of us having 100 likes on a Facebook page, and a promoter in Manchester being like, yeah, you can come play this all day because I like your demo, and
Mm,
you won't sell any tickets, but here's 50 quid to cover your fuel, and you'll play at 2 p.m. in front of 300 people. And we were like, what the fuck? Like, this is
mm,
not that kind of welcoming atmosphere, and that approach to music that was just about the music was
mm,
so invigorating, that it's like I think we've really held on to that. And like, yeah, on this album we've tried a bit harder with social media and kind of all of the surrounding stuff around the record, but only with a view to how do we get this record in front of as many people as possible to give them a chance to connect with it. and
mm,
and you know everything we've done before has been, we will make this album and then we're kind of like a little bit hands off, like whatever
yeah,
will be.
yeah,
Whereas now
uh,
it's like, well, we've put so much into this. It's so personally, like, so like emotionally connected to this. Why wouldn't I put in a bit more effort to like help get it out to people, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. And talking of getting it out to people, you'll have an excellent opportunity to do that at Damnation soon, which
Hmm.
is just the bill of the year, really, isn't it? Um, it's going to be a bit of a mates fest there for you as well, because not only do you play with a lot of these bands and stuff like that, you're also a tour manager.
I am, yes.
Does this mean that Conjurer is the most organised band on the road now?
Fucking hell. Um, in theory, yes. However, I absolutely, because I do not get paid to organize Conjurer, it is often bottom of the list. So I think my band would argue that they do not get the service that my actual clients get. However, that is something I'm really trying to tighten up. Um, so I'd like to think that this tour, the Unself headline tour, will be pretty shipshape. I am actually doing all of the behind the scenes work on that at the minute. So that's been my day job the last week or so. But yeah, it's tough because like I am a control freak, which is why I went into this line of work. However, I don't have the capacity to do a full tour management job and also play the gigs every night. So it's like always a bit of a compromise, and we cannot afford to hire someone else to do it properly. So it's yeah, still finding my feet as doing this professionally and doing it for my own band. Um, I would, I think it's quite nice when we do support tours because it's like, okay, well, there is an actual tour manager now. I can just focus on playing the gigs, or when I'm just out for work and it's like I don't need to worry about performing. I can just do my spreadsheets, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a work in progress, but what isn't?
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing you on tour in 2026. It's going to be awesome. Congratulations on the new record.